Okay, I'm talking tonight with Mr. Philip Dwyer, journalist based in Dublin, but finds himself all over the Emerald Isle, north, south, east, west, and in the middle. And there's been a lot of shenanigans and skullduggery going on in and around Drumshanbo village in County Leitrim that unfortunately is becoming a known location across the world because of censorship, because of the intolerant left. A festival, the Mise Éire festival, was due to take place and still is taking place there at the end of August, but the venues had to be moved. Philip, you travelled up from Dublin to try and get the word on the street yesterday, I believe it was, but things didn't go quite according to plan.
No, they never seem to go according to plan in this business, Rick. But yeah, yesterday I decided to head up towards Drumshambo just to get a feel for what's going on the ground. I got a message and a contact from a local concerned resident, and she said to me that she wasn't happy about what had happened up there. And she was born in Drumshambo and grew up in the UK, and she's back living there now. She's fully aware that the people up there would have been quite happy to hold the Mise Éire event in the Mayflower Hotel. So she had reached out to me, and then I decided, yeah, I'd like to go up and see, could I put a better reflection on the whole thing for the people of Drumshambo themselves, because what we have is a committee on a community centre that appears to have been coerced or terrified into making a decision to cancel a booked event of Irish people celebrating their heritage and their culture. And then as part of that, then when I mentioned that I was going up there, I ended up making contact with Séan Wynne, who was the chairman of that committee. And I knew from the get-go that he was in favour of it going ahead. He had no issues with it. He's a man of free speech, impeccable character, that he has spent basically his whole life in Drumshambo, and he's worked for the community practically for all of that time, as for all of his adult life there. And I don't think anybody could even dispute that. And he was very transparent, and we had I was getting great feedback the interview there. He's a very bright, articulate man, and a very inoffensive person as well. So yeah, and then we got a good 30-minute interview up there, and he was discussing the ins and outs of his thoughts on it, and he was talking in a personal capacity as well. He made that clear that he wasn't talking on behalf of the committee. He was talking from a personal aspect, and we cast some doubts and questions about how the committee managed to come to this decision where they decided not to have it. They used a technicality in the contract over insurance, which, in my opinion, could have simply been sorted out with a phone call between Steve and Kerr and Cliff, the people organisers, and the committee. And it could have been sorted out with a phone call over the insurance, but they used it as an out clause, in my opinion, because there was massive pressure put on them by a small group of radical left-wing communists that kind of exist around that part of the world. It seems to be that they've congregated together. And unfortunately, a lot of mentally ill people, there's no other way to describe it, as we discussed earlier, and kind of demonic as well.
Yeah.
So
Philip, if I can just say also, sorry for cutting across you there, but just for the purposes of context, this festival that you're referring to, I did a video clip on it last week. People can check that out. It's something that's pretty damn inoffensive. It's a group of people getting together for one day in a venue. To my knowledge, there's going to be music at it, live music at it. There'll be guest speakers at it. There'll be some fellowship at it. People can come and mingle and meet up maybe with some old friends, make some new friends. There's going to be food at it. And then everybody goes home. It's not even like people are going to be marching down the streets, banging on a drum with a klaxon going and on the tricolour saying, get them out, or whatever, the stuff that seems to aggravate a lot of local population. That's not even the case. And last week also, because you mentioned there's two elements to the opposition to this. There's the local element that the pressure was put on the committee for the community centre, but the national and international element to it, I was gobsmacked at it. I mean, you had this group of hellions Kneecap got involved in this, ironically, after they were being crying and whining about having their speech censored. Then they called for it to be shut down. Christy Moore had the audacity to call it to be shut down as well. You had Hollywood actors calling for it to be called shut down. Apparently 600 people signed a petition of names to get the shut down. What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of being found out. They've been afraid, I'd say, of being exposed. The people you've referred to just there, in my opinion, Rick, are your musicians and artists, so-called artists, actors, whatever, Stephen Ray, Chris O'Dowd. They've probably basically sold their souls to the narrative, to the regime, to this woke agenda, let's say, and they know it, and they're deep down probably ashamed, and they don't want people like ourselves celebrating who we are. They know we don't go along with this woke culture, this woke agenda, and it's sickening, and it's like, it's great that they've actually exposed themselves. We got like Chris O'Dowd. I know exactly where he grew up, in Boyle, County Roscommon. He's only 20 minutes away from Drumshambo. He was he was a young fella there living close to where my relatives live. My relatives live in Boyle, County Roscommon as well. So I'm half Roscommon, half that. I'm very close to that part of the world. So these people, you have Christy Moore, who back in the 90s, I'm old enough to remember the ban on speech there, Section 31, where they stopped Sinn Féin. What they used to do was they'd have like even RTE weren't happy with this, what the government imposed here. RTE used to put in actors in the place of the likes of Jerry Adams or Martin McGuinness, and to cover their voices. You know, they would transcript. They'd have a transcript of what they said to get over the actual, is like a little loophole. You know, so back then when RTE were actually in favour of free speech. So then you had Christy Moore. He's writing songs about what they can tell us. How dare they tell us what we can say and what we can think or whatever? You know, the hypocrisy is just unreal. And even, don't get me started on Kneecap. You know, I met this lovely guy. I met this lovely guy in the west of Ireland there 2 weeks ago, young fella, you know, and he was sitting at the bar, and he was just talking, and he spoke a bit of Irish. It was lovely to see, and he spoke a bit of Irish. And the next thing, we start chatting, and he brought up Kneecap, and he says, well, I think it's great that they're promoting the Irish language, but he says, I wish they'd shut the fuck up about this Palestine stuff, right? And I said, you're bang on. I said, fair play to you. If they could just promote their Irish language, their Irish culture. But the absolute lunacy of these people, and it's the same characteristic, I think, with them all. There's this bit of mental illness in there, autism or whatever.
I'm telling you, and there's something that happened, and I'm getting to this, okay? And I want to play a quick video clip, and it's of yourself and John Wilson and this chap that you went down to see, standing. I mean, like, people can see this for themselves, standing peacefully talking, and immediately after. Literally immediately after this clip was filmed, you were, and not just you, but John and this other gentleman as well, were approached in an extremely, in my opinion, aggressive way by a certain person, foul-mouthed, tirade of abuse, and then a physical assault. Now, we're not going into any details in this, and this is not clickbait, because you haven't decided yet what you want to do, whether or not you want to take this forward or not. But I've seen the video. You can attest to this. John Wilson, who's a very, how would you say, upstanding man, ex-Garda, he witnessed it. He was there, who ended up picking up the camera and videoing this. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, especially when it was off the back of this little video clip that we're about to see, which is probably the least provocative, the least offensive piece of video I've ever seen in my entire life. So if you were asking me to put the odds on, what are the chances that immediately after you hit stop on that some loon would pull up and go banzai on it? I would say about 1,000,000 to 1, but that's what happened. So let's look at the clip in question. It's only a minute, and then you can take us from there. So this is Philip, John, and Seamus, or Sean, is it?
Séan Wynne is his name. He's
Séan
the chairman of the committee of the Mayflower Community Centre.
Okay. Well, here they are. You can make your own mind up about this, people, and leave me a thought in the comments. After watching this, would you have been provoked? Would you have been motivated to get out and attempt to take Philip's head off? You tell me in the comments section below, and I know there's some haters out there. They'll probably say, yes, I would, but most people love you. So let's see what you have to say. Okay.
To the now infamous.
Get the sound up here. So
Good afternoon, folks. Philip Dwyer here, journalist. I've decided to come down to the now infamous little town, little idyllic rural town of Drumshambo, or as it's becoming known now as Drumshambles, after the decision was made by a committee of this community centre here behind me, the Mayflower. And it's become a national, international story now. It's kind of been labelled as an attack on free speech. Good Irish people trying to celebrate their culture, their heritage, their music, and it's been, let's say, kiboshed by a small little group of radical left-wing activists. And I'm delighted here to be joined by the one and only Séan Wynne and the one and only John Wilson, who has had some involvement. John has some involvement with the security for the event. And we have Séan Wynne, who is the chairman of the community centre here, the committee here. And Séan is going to give us his side of the story here and let the public know, what went on as best he can, as regards the cancellation of this event. Now, Séan, thanks a million.
So that's the preamble, Philip. If you can check, by the way, anyone that's listening to this, please go to Philip's X page. There'll be a link in the description box below. You'll see the full 30-minute interview, and it's exactly the setup that you've just seen. So what I'm saying is, at the end of that, and ironically, you talked earlier on about some people in the area were terrified of speaking out against it. They were terrified of speaking out against it. And when you said that, I thought, what's to be afraid of? It's a little village in County Leitrim. Surely things can't be that bad down there. But literally a few minutes after you finished recording that little clip, let's just say someone arrived on the scene and proceeded to act in a very, how would you say, ungentlemanly fashion.
Yeah, very, very kind of, it was dangerous and it was very aggressive. We know who this individual is. He's known around the town, and he's known to have a criminal record for assault and battery on people. So I didn't know this at the time. He approached us. He stopped his car. It was like the interview had actually finished. That's it. But I was getting my equipment back in, packing it up again. But when he came over, he started to film us. But it turned out that it appears, and it's just my opinion, that he was probably sent there. A message had gone out. Somebody that we know had passed by who doesn't agree with this event going ahead, that we know that. And 10 minutes later, this guy arrives up, and he was there to cause havoc. And he
intimidate,
did. And,
I would say, is the word, intimidate.
Yeah. And so it really got very, very dangerous, physical. It's probably all of it's on camera, so I'm just weighing up my options right now about how to proceed with this. And as I said, I'm not a big fan of the Irish police. They haven't been very good to me, and the Irish judicial system. When it comes to Irish people who are speaking out against the government, we have a two-tier system in this country. So I'll weigh up my options. I haven't decided yet, but there definitely is video footage there which clearly shows who this guy is, what he did, and unprovoked. I never met this guy in my life. And the other point I think is important to make as well, what's going on in this country today, and whether it's me or others, or it's Stephen Kerr, or it's even you, Rick, because you're speaking out against what's going on in this country, there is an incitement to hatred going on with the media, with the establishment, with politicians, and with NGOs. They have free reign to say whatever they like about you and demonize you and just try to destroy your life. And this was a result, in my opinion, of somebody who was absolutely worked up to the hilt, to a demonic state, let's call it. I just tried to be kind of civil with him. I just asked him what he was doing, and he became very, very aggressive and obnoxious. So, I mean, this guy has been wound up to the hilt over people coming along saying that we are, literally they think we want to gas the Jews again. I mean, that's how nuts that they are. He told me I was a fan. He actually said I was a fan of Israel. If anyone's watching my stuff, I'm far from it. I am certainly not a fan of Israel at all. But it's like, this is how deranged that they are. And he's probably, I'd say he was probably the worst example of a violent psychotic person on the left that I've met in my time. You know, I've met a few, and you know, they would, but as I said, he did definitely come, and he put his hands on poor Séan Wynne as well, which is, you know, I think a big mistake on his part as well. Séan Wynne is very well liked in the area and respected, and he's an elderly gentleman. You know what I mean? He's not, but he did put his hands on him, and it's like, I don't know whether they think it's going to stop you from doing your work. It's only going to make me more determined to carry on. Rick, these people, I'm one of these people. I refuse to be bullied by these people. I refuse to be a victim of these people as well. I'm not there to be a punch bag for some lefty lunatic, or I'm not there to be intimidated from doing my work. All we were doing was standing on the road, minding our own business, doing an interview, trying to do journalism, real journalism. And these people don't want you to do this. They don't want you to come around and speak about what is actually going and criticize their point of view and have a different opinion to them. And that's a big no-no. And I'd say to the people of Drumshambo, like, I specifically went there to try and put out the town of Drumshambo in a good light, to say, I don't think that the people of Drumshambo are in favor of cancelling this. I think it's just a group of people in the committee who have been bullied and intimidated by a group of individuals that this guy represents, this guy who attacked me and Sean and John yesterday. That this is how they work. This is how they keep people in fear. And just like, they know people just don't want the hassle. They don't want to confront. They don't want confrontation or whatever. But unfortunately, the confrontation is here, folks. And these people want to control you and decide what you can hear, what you can say, and what you can think.
Yeah, well said, Philip. And you know, it's a case of not backing down. And I'm not being, I can't and won't show the clip, because it could be something that you end up taken to prosecute this person or press charges against this person. But I have seen it, and I mean, like, I've seen aggressive lefties at demonstrations shouting abuse and, you know, coming across as all nasty. But this guy seemed to be he was like possessed, and I'm not exaggerating. You could have, you know, he slapped your camera out of the thing. He came at that guy that you were talking to, that gentleman from Drumshambo. Same with John Wilson, you know, and he was getting right in your face, threatening you. Very, very super aggressive. And he actually broke your equipment, and then was asking, make sure you get this on camera, before he ended up getting in his car and driving away. So as far as, you know, at lefty aggro at events go, and this wasn't even at an event, it was as bad as I've seen it. And the guy definitely came across as unhinged and potentially dangerous. That's just my opinion based on what I've seen. But whether or not you take that any further, and I know you got an injury on your hand as well, because you've got photographic evidence of that too. So I mean, like, it was a disturbing thing to behold. Not saying that you were intimidated, but it was disturbing to watch, for the reason that 3 men standing in a village in Leitrim, in Drumshambo, just talking together, could provoke that type of response from a so-called grown man, an adult man who I'm imagining has at some stage had a wife, if he still has one, and kids and whatnot. You know, he's been in the community for a while, acting like a 5-year-old petulant child, an aggressive 5-year-old petulant child. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he was born and reared in the village, and comes from a very respectable family, you know. So like that type of place, everybody knows who he is, exactly who he is. But he felt so emboldened. If you notice that, he just didn't seem to care what he was doing. He just felt that there was never going to be any consequences.
No consequence.
For what he was doing. No,
yeah,
that's what you forget with the left here, and you see it in Galway 2 weeks ago, where the girl throwing the substance at the banner, at the people carrying the banner, and happened in front of me on camera, and I went to a young policewoman.
I know you did.
7 stone, and said, this girl's after assaulting somebody here with this with a substance, a liquid, and she just ignored me. You know,
I saw it. She was actually a young. She was standing. The guard was standing with her hands in her pockets and a baseball cap on and a big long ponytail. She just shrugged her shoulders while the other girl just walked off. But the reason I want to try and bring this to people's attention is, if you're getting attacked like that for something, in my opinion, as straightforward and innocuous and as inoffensive as this festival in Drumshanbo that's now been moved to Castle Bar, I believe, the Mise Éire festival, there's something much, much deeper going on. And we know that the truth can withhold scrutiny. It doesn't matter. You can put it under a spotlight. You can question it to the cows come home. It can withstand scrutiny, but lies cannot. So the fact that there's been such a concerted effort, Philip, to silence this and literally to attack you, plus John, plus that other gentleman, Sean, to me, that's the most disturbing element of all of this. So, you know, I told you, just wanted to make this brief here tonight. I just want to get this information out to people. So be aware that this is going on, folks. It's not just about making videos. It's not just about going to festivals. There's people being attacked because of what they believe in. And what they believe in is simply the promotion, in the case of the festival, the promotion of Irish culture, the promotion of fellowship, and the promotion of having a bit of crack together. But that's unfortunately overstepping the mark for some very intolerant people.
And that was what I wanted to be the theme of that video, that interview as well, that this has to be a line in the sand. We have to stop allowing this to happen to just ordinary, decent Irish people. It's just not on. It just can't be let stand. We have to be able to promote ourselves, to celebrate who we are, celebrate our language, our culture, our music, and not be bullied, because this is only the beginning of it. Like, this is the beginning of totalitarianism, tyranny, whatever word you want to put on it, communism. This is the road these people are bringing us down. And the funny part is that when you talk to these people, or when they spurt their stuff, they generally are in lockstep with the government policies. That's, to me, they're for mass immigration, they're for climate action, they're for transgenderism, everything that the government are promoting these days to our kids and to our people. So yeah, that's the theme. I think I want to leave it at that, is to say, this shall not stand. This must go ahead, this venue. I'm personally not, I don't really go to many of these things. I only booked my ticket last week to go. I was kind of in two minds. It's generally not my kind of thing, and you know, finding somewhere to stay and all that. But at the same time now, I'm definitely adamant. I'll be there. I'll be there for this, and nobody, you know, is going to stop me. And that's it. End of story,
ironically, after the whole, you know, kneecap Christy Moore thing last week, it actually was a massive publicity boost for the festival. And I hate to say this, but maybe at your expense and the expense of Sean and John, maybe this nasty experience can boost the profile further, which is good. As the saying goes, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I just thought I would let people know what's going on. A lot of people obviously follow follow what's going on here. I try and bring people some news relevant to their current location in Ireland. So thank you very much for your information tonight. We'll have to be careful what we say, but suffice to say, the show must go on. That's Philip Dwyer. I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.
Thanks, Rick.